Brilliant.
Okay.
So I'll start it now.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and I hope you can hear me. This is Andrew Burnell, Group Chief Exec. I'm here to do the first bit of this presentation here today around the annual report 22-23. This event happens every year. It's to replace what we used to have, which was an AGM, but which there was basically, by the end of it, just a very core number of individuals that came up. And as we came along, but as we've actually grown throughout the years, and with COVID and things, we held it this way and seemed to get a lot more people engaged. There's supposed to be 120 odd here today, but I'm not too sure how many there are at the moment. I can't see my screen, all I can see is the presentation. So really, just for me to say welcome to everybody. Thank you for taking the time. I do hope you find it instructive but also informative. We've got some updates as well from throughout this, like we have every year, from Paul on finance, Lisa on the colleague survey, Miriam on the work around FREDIE, and Sue on quality accounts, and then we'll close with the Wheel of Fortune. So what that means is that if you want the opportunity to submit questions, or you want to tell us that you're here, if you put those into the Q&A, the question and answer panel, especially your name or any questions, we will we'll work through those, and we will draw at random an individual who will win a £30 voucher. If we have time, we'll see what we can do about answering questions. But if we don't, and you've got some, what I'll do is we'll get people to answer those, and I'll put them in my blog if that's okay with people. So thank you again, and thanks for coming along today. I'm not going to sort of like run through the whole of the presentation. I'm just going to give you a flavour of the annual report. I'm just going to give you a flavour of what it is, and there are some clips within the report which I want to sort of like mainly focus on. So if I get on with the job in hand. As we know, our vision is to lead, inspire, and through excellent compassion, expertise in all we do, and that shown year in, year out with the people, our colleagues, and how we work with our partners, and how we fitted into a system that's new, and that's not just here but also with our colleagues over in the Northwest as well, and how we actually sort of like work in partnership and the relationships that we do build. But also I do believe that this inspire, excellence, compassion, expertise is the thing that people look at us at CHCP and think we are the people that can deliver, and the people that will get on with it. And as we run through this, you will see some of the great work and some of the great feedback. And as you can see, it's been a very busy year. 2,294 contacts. When we first sort of like went live, that figure was about 1 million. So you can see that over the last sort of 13 years or so, that's grown exponentially. And really 96% of those people actually said that their experience had been either good or very good, which is absolutely fantastic when you compare us to other colleagues within our system. But over to what the people say about working for CHCP and why.
CHCP, I feel, as an employer, they've invested in their employees by giving them the opportunities to develop the skills and knowledge.
You should join CHCP as an employer. I've had a few employers in my working life, and CHCP are one of the best.
I think someone should join CHCP if they're wanting to not only progress themselves as an individual, but achieve their goals as well.
I would say join the CHCP because there's always the opportunities to develop your skills and your clinical knowledge.
It's a different working process as a health professional. You're listened to by management, you get to make decisions, you get to suggest ideas which are often enforced. Yeah, I'd say CHCP is a great place to work.
It's a really good environment to work in. There's enormous training opportunities. You're always encouraged to progress if you want to, and supported to do that.
I think there's a culture of excellence. I think we have very high standards. I think there's kindness and caring and compassion at the heart of everything that we do.
It just feels like a team that works together. We cover each other, we support each other, and I think everybody's got a genuine interest in being here.
Doing this job is rewarding mentally. It's always nice to get home at the end of the day, or close your laptop down and you know that you've made a difference in someone's life.
So I know that was a bit of an advert for CHCP, but you've got to remember that these accounts will go wide and they will go out, and they're in a format that people can actually sort of like really hone in. So usually I can say that people really do like working for us, but it's really powerful when you hear other colleagues from across our services there, and really nice to see people that, you know, one's met as well over the years. Paul there over in Liverpool, and that some great folks, and we'll get on to what they've been doing as well. So just a real important thing is that, like, and I think all this stuff leads us to the point about why I think that a lot of our services are going through sort of like more managed change than being tendered, is the fact that you have worked extremely hard over the years. And I know this is a look back last year, but coming out of COVID, coming out of all that, and actually getting on with doing is amazing. And to maintain such really good high standards, but also some great patient feedback. What's really interesting is, and what we've been talking about, is the difference between what patients say and also potentially what our colleagues say about what they feel, because actually there is a differential and there is a difference. And it's something that we really do need to look into this year moving forward. About the patients are obviously extremely satisfied, but there is some level of frustration, and maybe that's due to sort of like professional views on things. I know that, you know, we all want to give a platinum service, and at times due to the pressure, demand and access and other things we're unable to, but our patients, and that slide shows it, are saying some absolutely fantastic things about the care that you give, but also the support that people in the background give to make sure that that package and that approach is seen to be you know, it's meeting with their expectation. You're treating people with care and respect. It's brilliant. And actually, one of the things that over the last year, and one of the things that's becoming much more important, and especially will be as we move through this sort of like managed change process, is how do we sort of like use our service users? How do we make sure that the people that use these services have a key link into, and working with the ICB in place, and around how we understand what we do. And over the years we've been doing some work, as you can see there on this slide, with certain groups around certain of our services. And I know that in primary care they've really gone and done some fantastic work recently around engagement, around change that we needed to make our primary care offer sustainable. And that's been led by Sarah, the two Sarahs, Sarah Heard, Sarah Gledhill, and an absolutely amazing piece of work in trying to sort of like really take forward what is some quite radical change in the eyes of the public, but also in the eyes of the commissioners. But I think that actually we are starting to develop a really sustainable model. So if you look at our services, there are 50 odd of them. They're over Hull, East Riding, Yorkshire, St Helens, Knowsley, and I welcome our Liverpool colleagues here today. They've come to join us in our stop smoking service over there. Now, as I said, I'm not going to spend ages. I've only got a limited period of time. I'm just going to run through. So what you can see more by actually reading the annual report yourselves, but we've got integrated sexual health in there around the work that they did around monkeypox, if people remember that, and the work that they're also doing around sort of like really hard to reach and vulnerable groups, and especially sort of like offering smear tests to women. Some great patient feedback, some huge amount of patient contact there as well, and again another service that, due to the work, the quality, the relationships, the ability, the professionalism, is not potentially going to tender, but will actually sort of like move into that much more managed change process over the next 6-12 months. Fantastic work. I wanted to mention I looked after children there within that as well. Really some very, very, you know, some key work, some very important work with vulnerable children, acting as advocates and ambassadors for those, and really working hard to make sure that they get the best outcomes for their life and their expectations for the future. Supporting our carers, one can't, you know, enough about our carers and how we support those people, and really some work there around sort of like how they got hold of some money to give some free meals to unpaid carers within the city, and especially with sort of like the stuff we're all facing. We all know about the rising prices and the cost of living crisis. What I will say is that, like, I mean, the food looks pretty bland, doesn't it? Actually, you know, it's or maybe that's just me not looking at the colours properly, but a lot of great work there. As I said, all our great colleagues over in St Helens and Knowsley, and now our Liverpool colleagues coming to join us. Really busy year, a lot of work going on around modernising the front end there. Been developing well-being champion and buddy training, so actually trying to get people engaged in looking after their well-being using MEC, really sort of like placing this around this feeling better, live better, and some you know, again, a massive amount of people using the service. If we move then through, we've got infant feeding team in St Helens, healthy families team, running events, some really great feedback, smoke-free St Helens, and we have a quote here from Kathy, who's actually saved enough money to buy herself an electric bike. So there we are, actually getting herself fit, you know, supported by our teams to get on with life. And you know, 49% there of people who've had a lung health check with some associated risks have actually stayed off smoking for a year. And I know that some of that performance is nationally exemplar as well. I mean, a real lot of work been going on over the last couple of years, and as we were moving just out of COVID, around supporting hotel refugees. This is actually people with leave to remain status, and there are some families within there as well, and some great work that the Keys, working with others, has done, and it's really again sort of like becoming a template for the way that multidisciplinary and interpersonal working, but also integrated working, could deliver. And a real great piece of work there in identifying some diphtheria outbreak that was happening, and as you can see from the slide and from the annual report, what amount of work went into bringing that under control, but also screening and giving people the right required treatment. If we move on, we've got our Sunshine House, which we sometimes seem to sort of like, you know, is there, but actually, you know, they came last year, right at the beginning of the year, right up to the mark, absolutely embraced the change that needed to be made about reprovisioning the service to help out with flow and with the elderly capacity, older people capacity problems that we had, and the staff were really behind it. Fantastic piece of work. Don't really have to say a lot more around that, but then repurposed it back very quickly to seeing children, and again, it's just showed the art of what we can do, that can-do attitude. I mean, I don't know if people know, but the chronic fatigue, which is the Yorkshire Fatigue Service now, has been running, supporting people face-to-face and virtually with ME and chronic fatigue syndrome, and it's a wider spread across York, North East, Lincolnshire, over this side, but a great a new development. We've got our fracture liaison service there, telling people about some of the great work it's done around bone assessment for 50-year-old and over, people who've sort of like had low impact trauma, how many people they've assessed, what they're doing about trying to make people healthier. And as you can see, our therapy and rehab team is part of, this is part of, has seen nearly 800,000 people, which is just, again, just goes to show the level. So moving forward, again, pressure system, working as partners. One of the things we came up with an idea around, really, how do we sort of like bring intermediate care to the home? So we got the optimising independence team, and that was mobilised in Hull and East Riding in a very short space of time. Some fantastic people there working 8 while 10, supporting people to get out of hospital, then supporting them more about actually assessing them, seeing what their independence is, and then how they sort of like work through to get the thing. And I just wanted to show the clip of this lovely lady here.
Excellent. I can't say it better than that. They're all excellent from the word go, you know. They haven't changed a bit. Yeah, they will do anything you ask them. Yeah, they're excellent people.
Well, I think we can safely say that you're excellent, and well done, everybody, and let's keep up that. It's seen as, again, as something that's really having some major impact now. If we go on to community nursing, a really big service, another one that's going, and I think basically another one that's demonstrated over the years how good they are, and how nationally some of the work that this service does is seen as being exemplar. And you know, we see here again nearly sort of like 655 contacts, and the development of trusted assessor, the work we've been doing around rehabilitation and care units that we've got, how we help with the flow, how we pull people out, how we're assertive, how we bring people along on a journey and get them from where they don't need to be, which is in a hospital bed, but out in the community, supported wherever possible at home. And our overall sort of approach to this is to get people home. Again, you know, supported in the background, but also really another national exemplar and an international exemplar is the Jean Bishop Centre. And I know I keep going on about it, but it's not out the news, and you'll see a link within the presentation there that you can go and have a look at the programme about how it could be fixed, really putting forward what a fantastic service we've got and what a fantastic support. Now actually been taken up with the ICB, who want to use the approach and the thing as a centre of excellence. And here's a member of staff and what their conversation and their view on it.
At the Jean Bishop Centre, the most rewarding part of my job is that we actually get to give time to the patients that we see. We're not rushed and rushed into a time slot. Patients that come here, they come and they have the time to talk about what they need to talk about.
Excellent. And you know, I think people forget, but CHCP is a group of companies, and we have pharmacies, we have an estate business, we have also sort of like our care home business, we have you know, we have a dental company that holds a contract, we have a number of things that go on, and this year we've got some elements and some thing about what we've been doing here within our modernising our pharmacies, and I know there's some work yet to go on, and they played a fantastic role in supporting us with our flu vaccination last year. And you know, here we have, and you know, modernisation and all that. Here's your 24-hour prescription collection service, which is a you know, a machine that can do that. So it's really about how we are catering for you know, what are people's expectations of a 24/7 sort of like society, and being able to get the medication when they need it. Not when something's open. So some great work going on in there, and I know we've still, I think, got lots of potential to work with both City Pharmacy and Broccolers to move forward. Really nice this year with sort of like some elements of sort of like picking up with some of the great work that our ICT and our team here do around supporting you and rolling out sort of like not just IT, but really sort of like you know, access to lots of different things, new systems, new processes. And here's Carl. Carl is a product of our next couple of slides, which is basically came as a young chap, you know, like, and now, you know, there he is. He's the 365 Microsoft champion for CHCP, and has done really well, been off to uni and things like that. But you know, great to see somebody doing so well, great to see the team supporting our work and your work and how we get on with that. And actually, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, when they do reviews about our security, when they do reviews about what we do, how we try and keep people safe, we always come out on the top. And I think the reason being is such a dedicated and committed team that really want to and understand the importance of their role within the wider jigsaw of CHCP to make sure that we've all got you know, we've got the right, we've got the appropriate, and we've got the most up-to-date technology. And as I said, moving into that, which is a segue into this, you know, I'm not going to go into these as lots of slides, but basically you will get a feel about how much of our money and our resources through what we work, how we work, we put back into people, and we put back into our colleagues and you, to try and make sure that wherever possible we're developing your skills, both through leadership, both through celebrating innovation and celebration, and through sort of like learning and sharing those views. I mean, we can only do as much as that as you're keen and willing to sort of like put in. It's not about me going on all the time and others, it's about you. It's about how do we get people to move forward? How do we sort of like reward people as well? We've got celebrating excellence, but how do we sort of like bring the, you know, nursing apprenticeship stuff and the team leader development and all that as well? Absolutely fantastic. We've got the respiratory, the management academy, we've got the T-level work that we're doing, we've got the nurse advocate and clinical support work that's developed over the year, and finally moving in, how can we forget our magnificent volunteers? You know, over the last 12 months, you can see volunteer activity, hours that they've worked. Here's Christine, amazing stuff. Couldn't do our job without them. Absolutely amazing, because when I came and when we set up, we really didn't have any volunteers or very few. And the links with KISS and the links with Jean Bishop and all the work that they do in our care for bedded facilities is just amazing. And the amount of hours and the amount of jobs that they do is unbelievable. And finally, you know, we're a CIC, we're about actually sort of, you know, we're about, you know, doing the right things, not just investing like I've shown in you, but in the services through IT, tech and through modern stuff. But we're also sort of like here to demonstrate our social value. And that is really important in an ICB world and in this system world where we talk about anchor institutions that put back more than what they take out. And we can demonstrate that and have done now for the last 13 years. So if you see here on this slide, and the slides will be available, as will this as my talk and all my colleagues after me, we are really doing some pretty sterling work here, and this is really powerful now. I'm not being funny, but absolutely powerful. Being able to demonstrate, and having been able to demonstrate over the years what we put back, I think puts us in a very good position now and in the future, and we need to carry on doing that, because actually it's important. And given the pressures in the system, as you know, in terms of money in the local authority, money in health, we've got to be able to be here and demonstrating our worth, and as a system player, as a value proposition, but also as somebody that continues as an organisation that is about people, community, and is about actually care, quality, safety. So absolutely fantastic, sort of like some fantastic sort of like stuff there again that adds into that portfolio that we've developed and are developing moving forward throughout the years. So I'll finish there. I just wanted to say before I finish that thank you very much to everybody, and absolutely great. Keep up the fantastic work, and I'll pass over now to our next.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name's Paul Hillary, for those who don't know me. I'm the Group Director of Finance Resources here at CHCP, and I'm going to take you a quick canter through our financial results from last financial year. I believe one of the teams putting the slides up. There we go. So the first couple of slides are going to be essentially snapshots from our P&L account. And the last two slides are kind of snapshots from our balance sheet, the two kind of main statements which pick up the accounts for an organisation. What I will start off with saying, and I say this every year, so hopefully someone will believe me, is that these accounts are yours, not mine. Me and my team pulled together the results from the hard work that everyone does by managing their financial resources, and the achievements for the last 5 years, which are on the slides, are yours again and not mine. Equally, it's from your hard work and dedication to make sure we're managing and sustaining a sustainable business moving forward. Also, as well as these results, are those of the group. So Andrew's already alluded to that we've got a number of subsidiaries. So these £114 million is not just CHCP, but includes our pharmacy subsidiaries, our joint venture with N3i delivering GP care, our City Healthcare Limited, our estates company, and all the other ones that we've got going as well. So it's a combination of everything. Just to give you an indication of that £140 million, CHCP makes about 120 of that. That gives you a feel of how much that is. So you can see over the years, CHCP is roughly, go back to 18-19, has made a profit of just over £1 million, same in 19-20. Then the next 2 years we had what I've now called the COVID years, where we've arguably made what you could argue is super profits. What I mean by super profits are we still got paid the same because our income was protected. However, our cost base went down quite significantly. But you can see in 22-23, our surplus was just shy of £1.2 million, which was what we was expecting, what we was planning for. And it's back in line with where we was expecting, which is just shy of 1% of the organisation's overall turnover. To give you a little bit of feel about that, so the pay of our total business is roughly 64% of our spend, and our non-pay is 35%, and has got 1% worth of profit. Our biggest spends in our non-pay is still in the area of drugs, medical and surgical equipment, and also insurance. So they're the areas which we, from a non-pay point of view, we've put quite a lot of effort into. Regarding pay, we've obviously got quite a large workforce, just over 2,500 people we employ these days, of which the biggest task is actually getting people to come work for us, mainly because there's a number of vacancies and not enough people out there. So this year and previous years, we're trying to manage the agency book. The agency, as you can appreciate, is quite expensive compared to having colleagues on the books. And generally speaking, colleagues on the books tend to be more bought into our company vision and values. So there we are as an organisation. So you can see we've grown over the past 5 years. If we can move on to the next slide, I've got some further stuff to pick up. So on that slide there, you can see the organisation growing from 2018 to 2022-23. Now, you may think from 21 to 22, we kind of stagnated. It was £141 million, Paul, but only 140. What's gone on there with the previous years? We've grown. The simple matter of the fact is the changes from 21 to 22 is we stopped delivering the prison contract in August, so we had 5 months worth of trading, and we weren't fortunate enough to re-win the 0 to 19 tender, so we only delivered a month's worth of income in that. For April, roughly the full year effect of both those contracts were circa 10 to 12 million pounds. So the fact that we've managed to sustain at very similar levels to 21-22 shows the organisation has continued to grow. It's just been disguised by those 2 contracts no longer being with us delivering those. And those increases have generally been around the areas which Andrew's picked up already, optimising healthcare. We've started delivering virtual wards and also urgent 2-hour urgent care are some of the areas where we've increased the organisation's turnover to kind of offset some of those losses with regards to those. But you can see again our operating margin is roughly on line where we would expect to be in a typical trading financial year. We can move on a little bit. So these next 2 slides are essentially roughly key parts of our balance sheet, which is worth mentioning. So you can see there from 2019 we had 37.5 million pounds worth of business and assets, going up to just shy of 69 million. So year on year as an organisation we are growing. The growth is predominantly around the surpluses that we've made, but also the maintenance of increasing of our assets as well. So like our physical assets, even some of our non-physical, non-tangible assets which we're investing in as well. And the final slide is regarding cash. And as they say, cash is king. So you can see our cash balances have grown from 9 million pounds up to 35. Now 35 is quite a large amount of money, as you can appreciate. And some of you may be thinking, Paul, why are we spending that 35 million pounds? The reason why we are spending some of that, to be honest with you, but the bulk of it is we get used by the ICB as an organisation to help them basically flex monies from one financial year to another, which is beneficial for us as an organisation because it helps us as well. So a lot of that 35 million pounds is already pre-committed to things we'd already delivered in 23-24, but also to ICB money, which will be feeding back into the system as well. However, the 35 million pounds and the 30 million pounds the previous year are still brilliant positions for us to be as an organisation. So that's my last slide for me. I'd like to say once again, thanks for all your hard working, running an efficient and effective organisation. I recognise it's not easy, and I'm constantly having discussions with my colleagues of how we can make that easier. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Hello everybody, my name is Lisa Carr, I'm the Assistant Director of People. It gives me great pleasure to share the key results of the colleague survey 2023 with yourselves, to give you a bit of an idea about what you said it's like working here. The survey was conducted back in April 23, and thank you very much for taking part. The survey is really important to us. It's a key measure for us. It aids understanding of the employee experience, recruitment and retention, all of which will impact on the quality of care that we're able to deliver. Next slide, please. You'll see there we achieved a really high response rate at 75%. Great, it's the best we've had yet, and it compares really favourably against the NHS average, which is around 40%. So really high levels of assurance given the results that we've achieved there, and it's given us a really good barometer of staff opinion. It has meant that we've been able to make a £3,000 donation to local food banks, and also honour the additional half-a-day annual leave, which I know that colleagues like to have. Next slide, please. Quality patient care is a key priority for CHCP. The first question that we ask in the survey is around whether staff will recommend CHCP to friends and family for care, and you can see there very high levels of satisfaction and net likely at 91%. that level has been maintained year on year, and certainly for the last 8 years it's been around the 90% mark, so really proud of that. Next slide please. When we look at comparing our score of 91% against other organisations locally and the national average, we do fare very well, as you can see from this slide. Patient care is clearly at the heart of what we do, and it's a result that we should be really proud of as a collective, and really fits in well with people have seen through the patient survey results. Next slide please. Moving on to workplace, again really high levels of satisfaction here, though we are down 2% on the previous year. However, 78% remains really high, and significantly up on where we've been in the past. Next slide please. So when we look at that score against, again, others locally and the national average, you can see there that we're still faring very well against other providers, with Navigo, which is a social enterprise across the bridge on the south of the Humberside, just pipping us to the post by 2%. Next slide please. So why are we a great place to work? Well, here's a few comments that people have given us in the survey. You can see obviously like work-life balance, positive work environment, and supportive management are really key to people, and that's the culture that you collective have created. Next slide. When we look in more detail about what the colleague said about satisfaction with a job role, again we're really seeing overall really positive results. There are lower levels of satisfaction around the recognition piece. You can see there it's at 66% satisfaction, but one of the examples you'll be able to see that we've already taken some action to address that is that we've reintroduced Andrew's top 100 that was advertised in a recent. That's really to aid that recognition across the organisation. Please. Although we're saying that is an area for improvement, again, when we compare ourselves to other organisations locally and the national average, we're still faring fairly well on the piece, but we do recognise that there's definitely work we can do to improve our position. Next slide, please. A really important question that we ask in the survey is whether staff feel that their role makes a difference to patient and service users. And again, you can see here that we have a very high level of agreement with that question, and that fares really well against others that we compare ourselves to. And that anchors again back into the patient survey results Andrew mentioned earlier. Next slide, please. Once again, high levels of satisfaction were achieved in relation to the management support questions that we asked. An area where we have identified a need to improve is that final chart there, which is where staff being asked for their opinions before making decisions that affect their work. Again, an area that we've identified for improvement as we move forward. Slide, please. Wellbeing continues to be very well received by our colleagues, with high levels of agreement that CHCP take a positive approach to colleague wellbeing, and that's demonstrated here when we look at our results against others. There's been a lot of activity around the wellbeing of our workforce, a lot of activity via the people plan, but during and post pandemic, we are hoping that the introduction of the health and wellbeing champion will help get key messages and resources out there and reach colleagues at all levels, so that they can access the support that is available when they need it most. Next slide, please. All in all, the colleague satisfaction remains high at CHCP, and we continue to demonstrate with confidence that CHCP is a great place to work. There's always room for improvement, having said that, and strategically at an organisational level, the survey helps to inform our people plan developments, and we will be leading on some organisational level action plans to address some of the areas that we know we can improve. At a more local level, there are portfolio action plans being generated at the present time. I am hopeful that you've had some opportunity to input into those developments, and we're hoping that we'll be able to report some really positive, you said we did, in the coming months to help us to remain that employer of choice. Thank you very much for contributing to the survey and giving us your honest opinions, because it really does help us inform the direction of travel in terms of people plan developments as an organisation. And it's because of your input really that we continue to be an employer that people want to work for. So thank you very much. There is a final slide, but thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. For those that don't know me, I'm Miriam Sykes. I'm the FREDIE lead for CHCP, and I've been asked to come along today to give a bit of an overview and updates on where we're at in respect of FREDIE. So just hang on 1 second till the slides come on, and then I can start talking through them for you. Thank you, Pippa. If you just want to maybe move it on to the third slide, if that's okay. Thank you. Brilliant. Lovely. So what does FREDIE stand for? I'm sure most of you on this call are aware of what FREDIE stands for, and Lisa just talked about the colleague survey. The response in the colleague survey that people understood what FREDIE was 97%, so a really good response rate this year. So I'm not going to obviously tell people what it is, that the slide tells you what it is there, but it's just wanted to put a bit more context behind each of those principles. So you can have a look there, read yourself, but in respect of fairness, we're looking at the quality of being reasonable, right and just. When we look at equality, we're making sure people are treated fairly and given fair chances, whilst recognising they may have different needs to meet. And inclusion, encouraging innovation within the workplace, allowing people to contribute to the way things can be done for the better. So we've been referring to the principles for a few years now. And in fact, it was in 2020, following our reaccreditation of the Investors in Diversity by the National Centre for Diversity, that we introduced them as the EDI vision. So can I have the next slide, please? So in 2021, we began to transition from EDI to FREDIE and have been embedding the principles throughout the business since then. And as stated on the as you can see on the slide here, the vision and its principle now form what was our EDI strategy. We now have a FREDIE strategy. The strategy takes into consideration the organisation's strategic objectives and values, whilst also identifying the aim to deliver equity and fairness for all in our care and employment. The objectives, as mentioned, are reviewed annually, and these are done by the FREDIE steering group, of which we have representation from all different services across the organisation. So next slide, please. So this just shows the objectives for 23-24. I'm not going to read right through them all, but just wanted to put them up there really for people to have a quick look at. And what we'll do over the next slides is have a look at some of the activity that we've been carrying on and carrying out, which will relate to the objectives and will help us to achieve these objectives over the year. So next slide, please. So Disability Confident, it's an accreditation by the Department of Work and Pensions, and it's awarded to organisations that show that they're fully supportive of employing and retaining disabled staff. CHCP went from being a disability confident employer to being a disability confident leader in August 2022. This was following an external assessment and validation. We were the first healthcare provider within Hull to achieve this, and one of just 3 organisations across Hull, East Riding, Knowsley and St Helens. We'll put what next is for us to continue reviewing our action plans and develop ourselves, making sure that our colleagues and potential colleagues or applicants are provided with equal opportunity to reach the full potential. And we'll also link in with other external organisations to encourage them to become disability confident. So on the slide here in brackets it says about a business breakfast. We're currently working in partnership with Hull City Council and the Department of Work and Pensions. We've got a business breakfast organised for later on in October, and the invites have gone out to various organisations right across Hull. So far we've got 42 attendees booked onto that, so hoping to spread the word about disability confident and get a lot more people signing up to it. Next slide please. The Project Search is an employability programme for young people within Hull and East Riding who hold an education and healthcare plan. And a healthcare plan is issued to young people with special educational needs by the local authority and education departments. The age group that we're supporting or we're recruiting to the Project Search is 18 to 24-year-olds. So we're working in partnerships again with the local authorities, so that's Hull and East Riding, with the DFN Project Search Company and Wilberforce College. CHCP is the host business, so as part of that role we look for placements within our company for young people to work in over a full time year, so that's from September through to July. Our first year of running the project was from September 2021, and so far over the 2 years we've supported 5 graduated interns into paid employment, and we're continuing to look for further opportunities for more of those interns. So the slide just shows some of the placements that we've used so far, and within those there's been various different roles, but some of them have been admin roles, we've had stock control roles, we've had nursery nurse assistants, and we've had kitchen assistants, but we're always on the lookout for more placements. So a bit of a plea really to all you service managers out there, if you can give some time to think about any opportunities we might have for our young interns. We've got 6 on with us at the moment. All of them are on a placement, but they'll rotate, so any opportunity for further placements, if people want to get in touch with me, and then I can sort of link you in with the right people. Next slide please. We've also been working with the armed forces, so we've there's two initiatives that are shown on this slide. So the Defence Employee Recognition Scheme encourages employers to support defence personnel and inspire others to do the same. It encompasses a bronze, silver and gold award who pledge and advocate support for the armed forces community, and CHC was awarded with a silver award in June 2023 for the work that it done around publicising a dedicated policy for reservists, offering veteran guaranteed interviews and building relationships with local and national for armed forces organisations. The second point on there is the Veteran Awareness Accreditation, and that's awarded to organisations that comply with the Armed Forces Covenant and ensures patients from the armed forces community are not disadvantaged in terms of access to healthcare. And we, CHCP, was accredited with the Veteran Awareness in April 2023. Next slide, please. So we currently have 3 established staff network groups as shown on here, but we also now have an armed forces group, and we're looking at other areas, but so different groups that we can look to set up. For the 3 that are shown here, we had in a workshop earlier on in the year which resulted in a number of actions which we're currently working through, and part one of the main focus of those actions was about relaunching. So we're looking to relaunch each of the staff network groups from January 2024, although they are still running. So if people are wanting to join any of them, either because they themselves identified with a protected characteristic or as an ally, in the first instance, I've put Stuart's email address on there if you want to link in with Stuart, and he'll send you the information through. I've just put a couple of things on there that the groups have been involved in so far. There's a lot more. They've been doing some really good pieces of work, but that's just a few things that I sort of pulled out for today. So next slide, please. So I did mention about the investing in diversity right at the beginning of the presentation. So we was accredited in February 2020 and we're currently ranked 40 in the top 100 inclusive employers by the National Centre for Diversity. We are due re-accreditation in February 2024. So we've got a meeting scheduled to plan our next reassignment. So just really a plea today is for people to look out for surveys coming through. So part of that assessment is a survey. So we do surveys and then we do face-to-face interviews too. So it's just to look out for that, because the more response we get, the more the National Centre for Diversity get a truer reflection of the organisation, the culture and behaviours that we uphold. So next one, please. This is the last slide. So really quickly, just to say that as an organisation that provides health and care services, we're bound by a number of national standards and frameworks, and we work closely with NHS England to ensure that we comply with these standards. So that's just some of the standards, just to highlight the work that FREDIE gets involved in. So that's a quick run through of some of the work that FREDIE's working on. So hopefully I put a bit more into context as to why we continue to promote FREDIE across the organisation, just to confirm that it's not just because it's a nice thing to do or to tick boxes. The reason is because we want to provide a culture within the workplace where all our colleagues feel included and engaged with, where you as our colleagues all feel respected and are given equal opportunities, and where things don't go so well, you're able to speak out without fear and retribution. And without forgetting our patients too, we want to make sure these experiences are reflected with our patients and service users, and that they feel confident and safe when approaching any of our services for healthcare. But that's just a quick run through, and that's it. Thank you all for listening.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Sue Baker and I'm the Executive Nurse at City Healthcare Partnership. I'm really pleased to be able to introduce the quality accounts for 22-23, and hopefully you'll be able to see the dedication and the acknowledgement to all of our colleagues who participated in producing these accounts. So I can see that the slides are showing, so thank you very much. So if we could go to the first slide, please. So each year there is a requirement to actually publish our quality accounts and to outline the quality of the services that we provide. And there are specific headings that we need to strive to achieve and to set some priorities across the organisation. And that's where we come out to you, our colleagues, to participate in deciding what can go into our quality accounts. We do need to focus on 3 key areas, which is the clinical effectiveness, our patient engagement and our patient safety. Next slide, please. There is a prescriptive template that they actually offer from NHS England. What I would say is that we like to make this our own, owned by CHCP. So we do actually offer a vision in practice, which is a final section within the document, and it highlights the examples of the delivery that supports our vision. It also offers feedback from our patients, our stakeholders, our local partners. So it's a really valuable tool in showcasing everything that you do. And I would welcome any colleagues who wish to participate in this. I'll give you some contact details at the end. But the key thing is it's your accounts to celebrate the excellent work that you deliver. So we do produce the annual accounts and they are uploaded to our website, and on our website it also offers previous copies of previous accounts that we've published. So please feel free to access them. Thank you. Next slide. I've chosen a select few slides in terms of highlighting the quality accounts that we produce. Always at the beginning of the accounts, so this is an overarching statement from Andrew Burnell, and it discusses the challenges and the successes that we've achieved and how we maintain the governance structures and the high quality care that we've talked about throughout this morning. And it also talks about what's embedded in our day-to-day work to make sure that we deliver expertise and care delivery. Next slide, please. So a clinical audit is a specific tool that helps us to identify the quality that we deliver, and particularly any areas that we might want to improve on as well. You'll be able to see in the table and when you review the records, we've done an awful lot of work in terms of clinical audit. We work towards nice best practice, and also, for instance, the Royal College of Physicians, anything that really underpins that what we're delivering is evidence-based and to a high standard. We have delivered some excellent examples that are detailed in the accounts. So our cardiac and pulmonary rehab services have increased the uptake and the access to cardiovascular rehabilitation for patients, and a focus on some of the preventative care. There's also some work from our urgent treatment centres in terms of the triage tool that's used when assessing patients attending the service. And there's also some work from our medicine services in terms of share agreements. It's very difficult to pick out select elements from the quality accounts because I'm so proud of what you've all been able to produce, but I just wanted to highlight some key examples. So the next slide, please. So as part of our delivery of our contract, we do have sequins allocated to us. Sequins come with a financial incentive to improve patient care. Some of those improvements we continue to deliver year on year and demonstrate improvement to our patients. We've had two key sequins in the last year, one of which has been our flu vaccine, and we're in that current campaign at the moment, of which I've been through the pain. So I would encourage everybody to have the flu vaccine, please. We've also been involved in the assessment, diagnosis and treatment of lower limb, and we've been able to demonstrate improvements to our patient care delivery through the assessment and moving through to pathways. So excellent service in achieving our sequins. There is a percentage that we have to achieve, and obviously these are part of our financial value as well. Next slide, please. We do have to report on some statutory requirements, and as you'll be aware, we've got some statutory requirements in terms of our governing bodies. We do report if there's been any referrals, such as complaints that have gone through to the Parliamentary Ombudsman. There is one detailed in the report, and I'm pleased to say that the complaint was not upheld and it demonstrated excellent care. We also detail, for instance, if there have been any CQC inspections, and some of you may have been privy to some of our mock inspections that we've started up this year, but it's good to report any feedback and areas for improvement. We also have some national requirements that we report into, and one of those is in relation to palliative care and patient outcomes and deaths. So it's important that we look at our record keeping and ensuring that our patient experience at these difficult times and for the family has been supportive. Next slide, please. In terms of information governance, we detail the compliance in terms of the data security and protection toolkit, and some of the key elements that we report on are our training. And there's always been an emphasis certainly on our data security training, and more recently our cyber security, which is very key and very topical. So it's important that we do adhere to these key elements. You'll also see that we do have comments, concerns, compliments and complaints that we report on. Within the report, we tend to have the last 5 years so that it can put a little bit of context into how many elements we receive in each category. So it's positive to note that we also look at the number of patients that we're seeing as well when we're looking at these to put into context. So next slide, please. A few people have already mentioned in terms of friends and families, and it was certainly in our first presentation. And again, in terms of recommendation, it's clear that 96.3% of our patients rated us as very good and good, which is excellent to see. And we do include examples from services. We would love to include all of them. Unfortunately, we're not able to, but obviously we do that in the weekly blog. So it's positive to note that we highlight that practice. Next slide, please. So in the accounts, we also describe the areas that we want to improve and that we have improved. So again, going through the categories that we've already talked about in terms of patient experience, clinical effectiveness and patient safety. So next slide, please. We did look at some of our pledges in terms of tissue viability and wound care, and this referred to our low limb pathway that we talked about earlier. And there's some detail in there in terms of the benefits that we offer to improve wound healing for patients and the aftercare that we might provide. Next slide, please. We also look at enabling patients and carers to be part of their own safety. With the mandatory training and one-off training, staff will be aware of the patient safety incident response framework. And there's a key push to involve patients and families in investigations, and that's certainly something that we've been supporting and we will continue to support as well. Next slide, please. There's also been a great deal of work in terms of having timely access to patient information to ensure it's right person, right time, right place, and that we've got access to the full history to support our clinical decision making. So we've done a lot of work in terms of the Yorkshire Humber Care record, which is detailed in there, and that's still ongoing as well. Next slide, please. One of the key elements is obviously our training, and we're very proud of the in-house training that we actually offer. In terms of our staff, they remain our key element is to make sure that we offer staff the high delivery of education to make sure we can provide excellent service. In the report, we offer details on the external courses that we offer, the in-house training. We offer bespoke sessions in terms of face-to-face and virtual. Also in terms of how we've worked with local communities, so with colleges, which may be our workforce for the future. So it's important that we are able to ensure that staff obtain their statutory and mandatory training, but also through the development reviews also have access to other training as well. So it's key to reporting in the developments there. Next slide, please. So one of the key things that we're proud of is our staff and the contribution that staff deliver in terms of high quality care with excellence, compassion and expertise. And we offer details of publications that we've been involved with. Also, more recently, we've had in last year's accounts TV appearances as well, and individual awards where staff have shown leadership and excellence in terms of their delivery of service improvements. So this is the whole purpose of our quality accounts, is to celebrate the excellent care that we give. Next slide, please. One of the requirements is that we have our quality accounts validated and endorsed and supported, ideally by our system partners. Last year was the first time as we transitioned into integrated care boards that we actually had a joint statement from our integrated care board. It's really proud to know that they acknowledge the achievements that we've had and the part that we have to play in the wider external system. So working with system partners, they acknowledge the achievements that we've achieved as well in terms of our patient safety approach and things that will continue to work with them. And it's positive to note that the quality accounts go through the ICB Quality Committee, and we also get to view other system partners as well. They're available on the websites and they're there to, as I say, offer expertise. Next slide, please. So the key thing for me is I would encourage you all to contact our quality improvement team, who would be supportive in helping you to submit work to our quality accounts. It's your time to shine. It's your time to share the excellence that you deliver. And if you have ideas for improvement and you have any pledges that you would like to take forward, how we can support that and celebrate the success. So thank you for listening, and please access the quality accounts on our website. Thank you.
Well, there we are, and within time. So well done, everybody, and thank you. I will. I'm hoping that people have put the names in the Q&A panel and stuff, so that we can do the draw. And I'll hand over to Pippa, who will share the screen, I think, on the Wheel of Fortune. So give it a spin there, and let's see who wins. Right. Oh. Oh, Deborah Howard, you are the winner of £30, should I say? I'll have to shop voucher. If you want to contact marketing, Deborah, we will we'll sort you out the I love to shop voucher. So that would either be Philippa or Phil and stuff like that in comms and marketing. They'll help you get it to you as soon as they can. Anyway, so well done to you, Deborah. Just like to say before I round up, big thank you to my colleagues who've come along and spoke today. Thank you to you for taking time out of your very busy, but also I know very demanding days a day. And I do hope you found the presentations useful, the information helpful, and you know, I hope you've got a bit more of an idea about what was last year like. I do recommend that you pick up a copy, or we'll send out the link for the presentation, and this presentation as well will be on we'll be able to get through chips, I think, probably. And you know, and what I will say is that again, thank you to everybody. It's been a fantastic last year. Let's make this year as successful as last as well, and you know, let's keep going and keep pushing forward, making CHCP what it is, what it's become, and you know, we can work towards being a great and successful partner with our colleagues, whilst also making a success of our own business, a business which you know own in theory, as shareholders. So let's continue. Thank you to everybody as ever, and keep up the dedication, the professionalism, and also the support, but also the support for each other, the support for our patients, our carers, our communities, and our population. So it just from me to say again, it's great work. It's a pleasure to be the chief exec, and I say that every year, but it is, and it's great to see the organisation moving in a positive direction. So thank you, everybody, and here's to another year, and we'll speak. I'm sure I'll bump into some of you shortly, and you know, have a great rest of the day. And thank you to all the colleagues who've managed to pull this together again, and to spinning the Wheel of Fortune there, and the winner. So I'll bid everybody farewell, and thank you. 3 minutes over, so not too bad considering. And great. So we'll see you again shortly. Bye for now.